All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's been a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months since the last time we saw this gentleman, better known as the whole community knows him. It's Ron Calhoun. It's a brand. You've heard of McDonald's, Burger King, you've heard of ULM, you've heard of City of Monroe, but hey, this is the actual person in the flesh, Ron Calhoun. So we're gonna get started. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How about you?
I won't complain. I won't complain. Now, Ron always has a business face on when we first get started, but once he gets into his element, oh, he just lets it loose. So we're gonna start quick and early. We're here at 106.7 FM, the voice of the community. And I've seen Ron in the community personally doing shopping, observing, checking out the community, but ultimately being an advocate of his own community, attempting to put you and I in a better position. And what's better than wealth? Ron, I invited you on. We're going to talk about wealth today. Wealth being looking at it from we're going to talk about the disparities of wealth. We're going to look at it from an accountant's perspective, from a balance sheet. You know, on a balance sheet, it shows you go to the bank, borrow money, and they say, well, let me see your balance sheet. You know, that may be somewhat puzzling to some. You do it all the time, but to us, a balance sheet. So when it comes to home ownership, the bank looks at it from a very simple perspective. They look at what is cash you have minus, cash plus the assets. Assets can be a home, it could be vehicles, any assets minus the debts. And the balance of that is the wealth. Now, I did a little bit of reading dated from today, from yesterday, in the past, indicating that there's a major disparity in the community. And the disparity that I'm speaking of is that looks like the wealth for non-blacks or white homeowners, their wealth is generally, this is not accurate, generally around 171,000. And for blacks, it's usually generally around 17,000. And one of the major variables in that is usually home ownership.
Correct.
Because I've been told that home ownership usually equates to about 66% of a family's wealth. So if I am not in the process of buying a home, thinking about a home, I can really affect my future generation, affect my legacy. So I want to bring you on because in 2020, we ran across the health crisis, but back from the 60s, the 40s, Jim Crow up until today, our community has been faced with home ownership crisis, and we have to attempt to overcome that. But now, as I mentioned, we know Ron is Ron Calhoun, but he actually has a nonprofit. So Ron, won't you share with us the organization that you represent and just shed some light on this disparity?
Yes, we presently, since 2020, May of 2020, AHAYAH Community Development Corporation was established here in Louisiana, as well as in Monroe. We're actually partners with the city of Monroe. We're set up as a community-based development organization, as well as about to become certified as a community housing development organization. And what these designations do, they actually certify us with the city as well as with HUD, because the city of Monroe receives government funding, home funds, as well as CDBG money. So through that funding, we're able to go out and do rehab work as well as new construction projects, which we've already done with the city here within the last year or last year and a half. We actually built a new home for a lady over in the Booker T area, $160,000 home, 3-bedroom, 2 full baths, brick home. We've done several rehab projects. And matter of fact, we even did a rehab project, first one in the history of the city of Monroe, over off on the north side, off of on Fairview Avenue between Island Drive and Park Avenue.
Okay, well, congratulations on that.
So we're able to use government funding to go in and help assist a lot of the low-income individuals through that program. And like I said, I'm not a part of the nonprofit. I'm actually just the construction manager for the nonprofit and as the general contractor. Yes.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Now, Ron, tell us, like I said, I've really been doing a lot because, well, let me first start off. I know you have a lot of experience when it comes to wealth building in the form of physical assets, as a form of an actual in the construction industry, homes, things like that. And I never really put the numbers into it until I start actually studying about the financial institutions. And since the majority of us, we go to financial institutions to borrow any money due to our lack of having actual cash, the financial institutions, they run a rigid program as far as credit. They look at your assets in order to protect any loan that you acquire. And we're not even going to talk about borrowing money to start a business. We're going to first focus on home ownership. Hopefully that'll be a little bit easier. Then down the line, we'll talk about starting a business. But starting a business, it can be derived from that initial home. That's why we say wealth begets wealth. But we want to talk about the disparities. Now, you being in the industry, you have seen and heard so much. But as I mentioned, I started doing some studying. I go way back to Jim Crow days, dealing with this thing called redlining, where if people actually see a map, you lay a map on the table, and they have different communities on this map. And a banker would take a red pen, ink pen, a marker, and circle certain areas, communities, with a red marker, and those, they would call that red line, where they indicated that area is very high risk as far as loans. And predominantly those areas were designated for the African-American community. So loans were not being serviced, or loans were not being granted to individuals that were attempting to purchase homes in those areas. So shed a little light from your perspective, building homes, rehabbing homes, and also you have history knowledge of the mortgage industry as well. Is this even something that's being done today?
Well, just like you said, the history goes back, way back, even after, I guess, World War I, World War II, when the soldiers came back to America. Even the federal government was involved in the redlining, not just banks. So, and with that disparity that has created the gap between whites and blacks, it is great. And what I did was I pulled some numbers so that we could actually see the difference.
Okay, good. I'm gonna write something down. I'm ready.
So right now, the black home ownership rate in America is at 43%.
Okay.
Compared to a white population is at 72%. So I mean, that's a 30% gap. Now, just like as you stated, the redlining gave them a leg up in regards to actually get ahead of us in regards to you know what I'm saying, in regards to the wealth gap, in regards to home ownership, because once again, that piece of property that they purchased back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, that gave the different generations, you know what I'm saying, when those parents died off, then now they had a property that was paid for. And what happens with real estate, it appreciates. So by it appreciating now, you know, Miss Sally died. Now her son inherits it. And now the property that she bought was $50,000, now is worth $200,000, depending on the neighborhood. So now they can go either turn around and refi that property, or I'm pretty sure a lot of them had life insurance policies. So where our people, you know what I'm saying, back then, Big Mama didn't have no, now she had some burial insurance, you know what I'm saying? Right. But she didn't have no life insurance. So that right there, from the physical asset of owning a property to having life insurance, it actually gave the other nationality with people a leg up ahead of us. And that's why now we're in the position where we're in. But the funny thing is, the Hispanic ownership in America right now is at 50%. So just with them coming into the America where we were ahead of them, now, like I said, our numbers was at 43.4. They're at 50%. So now the Hispanics have gone ahead of us. Now, why is that? I believe, once again, work ethic. They're hungry. You know what I'm saying? At a time, we were the workers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at my dad's generation. No, he's 83, 84, and they did all the labor. I mean, they built the houses, they did the concrete. You know what I'm saying? We did the highway jobs. You know, the labor. You know, in that industry back in the day. And now the Hispanic population is that population. So they're here, they're hungry, they're buying houses, they're buying vehicles, they're buying land, and they're being very prosperous. Whereas now our generation, I'm just say the younger generation, is not really learning the trades like the Hispanics, you know what I'm saying? So the the disparity is crazy. And then even the Asian population that's here in America, they're at 61% in regards to home ownership. So
Wow.
we're way behind, as you say.
By us, so you've identified some of the possible, well, you have the actual, the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. We may flaw in our truth, but the numbers don't lie. And so with that, because that's what Jay-Z said. And earlier we were talking about the balance sheet, and we were talking about assets, cash minus your debts equals the wealth. Jay-Z said in one of his songs that he bought a piece of a portrait or art for $1 million. A few years later, it was worth $3 million. A few years after that, it was worth $6 million. So we have to understand through education about what is an asset. Now, an asset could be the physical aspect where we see a vehicle with an investment on some wheels or some tires, some rims. That is an asset. But there are two types of assets: appreciating and depreciating. So we have to understand, I guess first, is it fair to say, Ron, we need a plan? Then once we have a plan, then we can work the plan and identify what is an appreciating asset and work towards it.
Correct. Well, and you're right. Saying we was taught early on that a vehicle is a depreciating asset. But in today's market, and I tell people all the time, we gotta change our thinking, because what happens is, even with that vehicle, that you can actually make that vehicle now become an asset. Think about it. People now that are doing Lyft, they're doing
that's right.
Uber.
I like that. Think outside the box.
So now those vehicles, instead of being a liability, it is now a money making asset.
That's right. Revenue generator.
Correct. It's a revenue generator. So they're doing what is it? Turo. So they rent out vehicles. So we got to
know what that is, but come on.
No, but Turo is just like Airbnb, where you're renting out your vehicle weekly to people to use your vehicle, just like they come in and use.
Oh, really?
Airbnb. Yes, sir. So a lot of us as Black people, I gotta say it, as Black people, we buy a vehicle. Oh, that's my vehicle. I ain't letting nobody else drive it, because you got to lose that mindset. Now look at it as a money-making asset in regards to the vehicles now. Because how, somebody buy a BMW, man, I'm gonna clean my car, I'm gonna drive. Come on, man. Go make some money with that vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the changing of the mindset, changing of the times. So it's just a different time now.
I like that. That's why I love to have a conversation with you, because you're right. We are a product of our environment. And so the mindset itself will direct the body. And so if we're thinking assets, we will enact on it, and we will make sure, like you said, we will attempt to, whatever we acquire, how can we generate revenue with this asset? And so we definitely have to do that, because I took the lessons from my forefathers. Now it's time for me to set the lessons to leave a legacy for my children, and for them to do that for their children. So we have to pass that on. And we were talking about home ownership. Like I said, the deeper I get into this, I start studying, start learning. You were talking about our mothers or grandparents leaving a piece of property. Then you were talking about asset protection through the use of life insurance. And it takes a lot of education to understand that. But then I found out something that was called, I have to look at my notes. Give me 1 second, because it got real deep for me. And this one is called successions, and also it's called heir property. Yeah. I didn't know that on heir property. You may be able to dig deeper on this. Heir property, since we don't have wills, some of our people don't have wills or life insurance. They own the property. Maybe our grandfather or great grandfather owned acreages of property that's wooded. But then, since there was no will left, now it's being aired to everyone that was born after me. And so an outside third party can come in and take maybe a great grandchild who's never lived in this area, get them to sell off their portion, and then force a sale. And this is how valuable assets are being depleted from the family value.
Well, and that what you just brought up is the problem right now inside the city limits of Monroe, as well as the South Side.
Really?
If right now inside, if I'm not mistaken, right now in regards to like adjudicated properties inside of the city limits of Monroe, it's about 700 properties. and they've been identified by the city inside the city limits of, and I'm not saying the parish, I'm just saying city limits of Monroe. It's 700 some adjudicated properties. And what happens with that is when, like you just said, when Big Mama passed, the property goes to her children. Then the children die off. Now it goes to the grandkids. So now you got all these people tied up into the ownership of the heir property, and you can't do nothing with it. So that's why we see all these lots on the south side of Monroe that we can't actually go and do anything with, as well as the city can. Now, what I thought about, I'm gonna reach out to my good friend who's now a state representative, Mr. Adrian Fisher. So I'm gonna put him on blast in regards, because Ms. Hill, who's over community development, we've all been talking about a land bank. You know, other states like Michigan, St. Louis, or Missouri, they have what is called land banks. All these people that have property that has been gone into in regards to air property that nobody's taking care of, nobody wants it. It goes into a land bank where like people like myself and other people that want to buy property or develop it, you're able to now to go and buy the property and have a clear title. Because the problem on the south side with all these adjudicated properties, you can't get clear title. So if you can't get clear title, you can't go to the bank and get no finance. So with that being the case, if we created the land bank, it cancels that out. So now in regards to the south side of Monroe, we can actually go in there and start redevelopment, because you know, got areas like Bryan's Tradition, Acton Quarters, man, it's decimated. You got just vacant lots, old houses, and these areas can be redeveloped easily, you know what I'm saying, but you can't, you know what I'm saying, get clear title. Now, there is a process you have to go through. You can pay additional funding, you know, money for the legal, and they have to make sure the company, I can't remember the name of the company that sells all these adjudicated properties for the parish as well as for the city. But
EMP Consulting.
Yeah. Okay, so you can actually pay additional funding to actually try to get clear title, but they have to make sure they track down every living person that's connected, because that person can come back down the road. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
yeah. Louisiana has some special laws.
Yeah, that's the challenges that we face dealing with in regards to the air property.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So we've identified some of the challenges through the years. We've also identified the potential of appreciating assets. So share with us the partnership that you've developed with the nonprofit. How can the nonprofit assist others in the community to acquire homes?
Well, what Ms. Hill and I are working on right now is, like I said, all that federal money that comes into the city, and like I said, in regards to home funds as well as CDBG money, Ms. Hill has already established a down payment assistance program. She already has the housing counseling program. So with the down payment assistance, the city will give up to $60,000 down payment assistance plus closing costs. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not saying that they're gonna come in and give you the whole 60 grand. You know what I'm saying? So you still have to go to the bank and qualify. You have to get the certification, go through the class. But as a nonprofit, we're able to come in and build homes, as well as tap into money from the state. One of the great programs that we can actually do as a nonprofit, we can come in and build. Let's say if it costs $160,000, right? And we got money from the federal government or from the state, and we built that house for $160,000. I could turn around and sell that house to you for $100,000. Where a for-profit can't do that, because like I said, it's actually grant money coming, you know, coming to me as a nonprofit. But once again, now we're still establishing and creating home ownership in the area, and then that the sale price will still be at the $160,000, which now helps appreciate the area. So it's just a vehicle. It's just a vehicle to tap into the federal funding. But the other problem with, I think, with our area, and I have to tap into this, because Ms. Hill has already set everything in place.
Right.
I've heard people say, well, man, I don't want to have to go through the class.
What?
You don't want to have to go through the class. So a lot of our people don't want to take the time and do what it takes to do in regards to correcting the credit, setting up payments, putting aside $1,500 for, you know, saying for just to have money they want you to they want you to save money, at least $1,500, and they're going to match the money. They got banks that's willing to, if you save $1,500 or $500, the banks are willing to pitch in and add that same dollar amount. So what I've seen since I've been involved now with this here in the last 2 years is the other thing is our mentality of people.
Mm-hmm.
As we just said, generationally, we've been renting. My mama rented. Now I'm renting. I had kids. I'm renting. And no offense, because I mean, everybody has rented at one time or another. But like you said, you had Section 8 housing, and you get comfortable. Because I've been over to Rabel, I've been over to Tallulah and Delhi, and like I said, they got brand new houses over there, and people are fine just renting in brand new brick homes. They don't own them, but they're saying, "Oh man, look here, if something breaks, I can call the landlord. I ain't got to fix anything." So the mentality of a lot of our people is this: well, I'd rather just go ahead and rent because now I don't have to worry about saving and no upkeep. Not thinking about the long-term effect. Okay, what am I leave? And the scripture says that we should leave a legacy for our children's children. And so
yeah, Proverbs 13:22. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you never establish or never own a property, now you're not leaving anything. You're not giving your children a leg up on anything. So what has happened, and the government has created it too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have got comfortable renting. We have got comfortable living off the government. You know what I'm saying? So now everybody, I'm not gonna say everybody, but there's a large population that loves being comfortable just renting.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So, but there are some programs out there available. Like I said, Ms. Hill is working with banks now. We have a program that we're getting ready to start advertising for rural areas, 100% financing, and this is as I told you before we got started, the program is going to be a very great program. A lot of people don't know about it, and that's the other thing too. A lot of our people haven't been educated on buying because we don't learn this in school.
Correct.
They don't know about mortgage program. You're in the mortgage business now, so you understand there's different programs out there available, whether it's conventional, FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, whatever you want to call it. There's other programs out there. Unless you educate yourself, then you'll never know. But we have a program that we will start advertising here. Everybody's going to freak out, I believe, because rates right now are about 6.5, 6.7 at your local banks and local mortgage companies. We're going to be able to bring to the table 3.5 interest rate.
Whoa, look out.
Yes, sir. 3.5 is going to have to be in the rural areas outside the city limits of Monroe. Then also the loan amounts go up to $336,000, depending on how many people are in your house. The note, it's going to be subsidized. So a woman with 3 kids or 4 kids, I mean, she could afford a $206,000 house. That note normally probably be like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month with the interest rate of 6.5, 6.7. So we're going to be bringing it in at 6.5. That note going to be $700, $800, which she's already paying for rent. 100%.
Absolutely.
100% financing for a brand new home. See what I'm saying? I
do. I'm receiving everything you're sharing with me. We first started off understanding the numbers, and once we digested those numbers, then we started trying to figure out what's causing the numbers to spike in a certain way or to digress in a certain manner. And number one is me, the individual, my mindset, and two, yes, I have to acquire a craftsmanship, a skill. So some individuals are college bound, some individuals are vocational bound. So It depends, because in your craft, when a home is built, I was told that a home can actually over 20, 30 years create like 1,500 different jobs, from transportation to the construction industry, so many aspects of the construction industry, then the skill sets. And then take like me, I'm in the media now, or the mortgages or the banks. There's so many jobs. And so you're right. We have to change our mindset to understand the beauty of a home. So I guess if we could tap into that real briefly, what a home can do for future generations. Say you purchase a home today, 30 years pass, the home is paid off. What are some of the leverage options that a home can provide for a family?
Well, let me give you a prime example. I have a guy, I'm not gonna call him names, but he inherited a property, and the property is in the Booker T area.
Okay.
And he came to me, he said, Ron, he said, man, you know anybody wanna buy a property? I said, dude, why are you trying to sell the property? I said, you got renters in it already. I said, why not just refi it, pull the cash out and keep cash flowing?
Mhm.
But you know what I'm saying, that mindset of, well, I'm just gonna sell the property outright. So now you're losing, as we just stated, in regards to net worth, the property is paid for.
Right.
So that's part of your net worth.
That's right. Increasing it plus
Increasing.
cash flow.
So now you're about to get rid of an asset that's free and clear, you know what I'm saying, that you can actually still keep and have cash flow, monthly cash flow coming off of it. And he was talking about getting rid of. So in that example, you know what I'm saying, if you bought a house and had it for 30 years, like I said, you could actually keep that property. If you long gone, your children inherit the property. And then, like you said, the other legal part is you got to have a lawyer here to set up some trust, some trust accounts where we can start putting property in trust, and also have living wills and wills, so we can actually set these properties up so it won't be a problem where we'd be like Big Mama when she died. Mama didn't have a will. Now the property goes to the state or succession, probate, or whatever it is. So as you stated, we gotta get in, start buying houses. Then we can leave it to our family members or to our children. And then the other part of it, you know, this comes with education. Even with single family housing, multifamily is even better and easier to buy than a single family home. So, and a lot of people don't know, because I mean, you would understand it because of the mortgage business as well as myself. But what happens is when you go to the bank, they'll sell you a threeplex or a fourplex faster than a single family, because now if you like that, the median income here in Monroe is like from $29,000 to $38,000, right?
Okay.
So what happens with that duplex or that fourplex, they're gonna add that additional income that you make monthly off that multifamily unit is gonna be added to that $29,000 a year.
Automatically.
Automatically. So
That's
now
right.
you can afford, so you're creating a place where you can live as well as rent out. So then now you're living free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
You know
like I
what
said,
I'm
you're
saying?
right.
So in regards to owning, it does so much for us. And like I said, in our community, we've never actually been taught that. Like I said, from our older generation, you know, God bless them. I mean, they could only, you know what I'm saying, tell us what they could tell us and teach us back then. But knowledge has increased here in the latter days. So now the knowledge is out there. You got TikTok, you got Instagram. So there's no reason for you not to get the information now.
Correct. Yeah. We just need the love for ourselves and the love for our family, and understand that, hey, the home is nothing more than life insurance. It's a financial planning tool to prepare for tomorrow. So we have to get there. Just like you mentioned prior to our conversation, I was thinking of a vehicle just to get from A to B, but you can actually turn it into a revenue generating operation
Yes,
by
sir.
leasing it out like a home, or building a business or something. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunities. And so we got to think different today, because tomorrow is different.
Yes, sir.
Now, before we end everything, is there anything else that we need to know about the future of the partnership with Ron Calhoun?
Well, like I said, I mean, the biggest thing that we're about to do, like I said, is once we get that advertising going for the housing program that we're getting ready to do out in the rural areas. I mean, that's a win-win for everybody. Like I said, 100% financing, interest rates starting at 3.5% interest rates. The monthly notes, what you're paying for rent right now, it'll be about the same for a brand new home out in the rural area, 3-bedroom, 2 full bath homes that we're getting ready to do, brick homes, not no trailer houses, not no trailer houses, but actually houses on the slab. And then, like I said, our partnership with the city of Monroe, we have a lot of stuff coming. Ms. Hill is very excited. She's, I mean, great in regards to progressive thinking. You know, we're looking at doing some tiny houses.
Okay. That's new.
Yeah, we got some tiny homes that we're getting ready to do, as well as some properties that we're getting ready to do for the elderly, where they'll be able to buy some homes on some 0 lot line homes, meaning that basically like the lots in the city of Monroe are like 50 by 150. And we're looking at actually being able to build 2 homes on 1 lot to turn around and sell, to, you know, to make them affordable.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
Yeah. Definitely have to think different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the nonprofit, do they offer any education classes as far as credit repair or credit education?
Well, what the city of Monroe has the first-time home buyers class. Inside of that class, the city is partnered with Mid City out of
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Right.
Yeah, presently they are doing the classes for the first-time home buyers plus the credit repair in there. Now, we also have credit repair also through the nonprofit, and my wife and I have already done some classes to get certified because Ms. Hill wants a local organization to actually be able to do that here locally. I told her, I said, I'm wearing a lot of hats already as it is. So, so it's gonna take time for us to get there. Because like I said, the classes, we have to take the classes. We've already taken one, so there's another class that we have to take. So
Okay.
that'll be coming down the road. But like I said, if anybody have credit problems, the credit part is a game. Once you understand and learn the game of what you need to do to establish credit, please, like I told you before, I gave my number out. They can hit me on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. You can hit me on the cell number. In regards to getting the credit straight, please don't let that stop you. It's a game. It's easy. 6 months you can have good credit. Trust me.
Right. Okay, I like that. Give us your contact information before we close out one more time, please.
Telephone number is 318-953-9698. Email address is rk06@yahoo.com. That's
all right.
It's the best way to get in touch with Ron Calhoun.
Well, sounds good. I appreciate that. And once again, thanks for taking out a couple of minutes to share with us on the future, how to build a legacy, and also about home ownership, because it's so essential and vital in our community.
No, man, I appreciate it. I'm about to do a lot more of these on my own too.
That's right.
No, but I appreciate you, man. Always, no problem, never a problem.
All right, here we go. Thank you.
All right.